Hi all, today we're going to be talking about the NS-11A, the Nanosystems Assault Rifle, available to all factions and all combat medics. The 11A, as I will be calling it from here on out, is a very, very nice assault rifle. Yes, it does have very low damage output, being 652 at 143, but it only drops 1 damage here, it is easy to control recoil, it has very nice hip and aim accuracy stats, it has a big magazine pull at 35 rounds, quick reloads, it's very easy to control, it just works everywhere no matter what you throw it at. It's a very, very comfortable assault rifle, and it's honestly a worthwhile pickup for anyone who just wants a nice, well-rounded assault rifle. You will be seeing me looking at the Heatwave one, because that's the one I'm currently working on, but still, it applies, of course. So, as I mentioned, the 11A is 652 at 143, and it drops to 125 damage, which makes it very, very nice, because no matter what, you're looking at a 4-headshot kill no matter where you are, and this is pretty useful. Your muzzle velocity is quite high at 640 meters a second, which makes the ranged combat very easy. Your reload speeds are very good at 2.45 long, 2 seconds short. You've got a relatively large ammunition pool of 35 rounds, as I mentioned, good hip and aim stats, and it's just very, very well rounded. It's a super adaptable assault rifle that you can really make do whatever you need it to, and in that regard, I think it's absolutely worth your time in an Araxium if you're going for your assault rifle directive, or if you have say, the Platinum one, or the Heatwave one, or any one of the other numerous reskins for this thing. It's just a very, very nice rifle to Araxium. In the way of attachments, you get your standard 1-4x, of course. Pick your poison here, it doesn't really matter. The gun works in close range, mid-range, and can even be worked out to long range thanks to its velocity, so honestly, take your pick. I personally opt for a 1 most times because I usually use it in closer ranges, but, you know, if you want to go higher, you can. I'm not going to judge you on this one. You have pretty much all the barrel options available here, and how you pick is going to determine what you like doing. Compensator is great if you just want to make the recoil a bit easier to handle, the short barrel is good if you want to try and make the hipfire build work, the flash suppressor is a fine slot filler, and the suppressor is pretty much free on this weapon because you don't need to worry about the damage range hit anyway, so really the only penalty here is from the velocity, which can be adapted to, so the suppressor is a good pick here. Of course, stay away from the heavy barrel, it's not worth it on anything, it's not worth it on any gun in general, just stay away from it. In the rail, you also have a very diverse lineup of attachments here. You've got your angled grip and your forward grip if you want better recoil control, you've got the laser if you want to make the hipfire build work, and you've got both a smoke and a grenade launcher if you want them. I personally would stay away from them, but the grenade launcher does one-shot once it arms, assuming you hit somebody directly, so you can use it as a bit of a noob tube if you want to. I personally wouldn't recommend it, but it can be pretty funny when you're just bored. Smoke launcher works if you're going to go for, say, a smoke loadout, but I'd probably stay away from it because you're just going to piss everyone off around you, and you're a medic. Don't do that. In the ammo pool, ultimately, I think soft point is the only way to go here. You can't extend your 4-headshot kill range because it's always a 4-headshot kill, so high velocity doesn't really get much use here outside of giving you 10% more velocity. And you're cutting your 143 range, or 7 body shot range, by 2 meters. Not huge, but comparatively not a very big change. Soft point, sure, will hit your velocity by 10%, which is actually quite large in this weapon. You'll lose about 60 to 70 meters a second of velocity, but you're still very good velocity regardless, and you get 5 more meters of 7-shot kill range. It's, in my opinion, it's just a straight upgrade here. You should pick soft point. So, throughout my Araxium, and I want to talk about this before I go to live play, or not my Araxium, but in all the time I spent with this weapon, and I think I've over-Araxiumed it. I've never actually put the medal on it myself, but I have like 600 kills on my Vanguard character, I have like 300 kills in the regular one, I have like 300 kills on this one. I've used this gun a lot. I have never found a loadout that I've been consistently appreciative of. Normally, I usually opt for, say, the full recoil build. You know, you take the comp, you take the grip, and you make the gun into an absolute laser. But if you do this, you're going to run into situations where you wish you had hipfire accuracy. So then you pick, say, the short barrel and the laser sight. And yes, it does turn it into a very nice hipfire. But then you're going to run into situations at range where you wish you had the grip and the compensator. And the angled grip and the grip is also up to you. I personally have decided to opt mostly for the range build on this weapon, simply because I just think it's the more comfortable way to run it, but I just never really found a nice balance between hipfire effectiveness and ranged effectiveness. Ultimately, of course, how you spec this will be entirely up to you and the way you like your rifles, but it's just something I wanted to note because it's something that I've been struggling with for pretty much as long as I've used the 11A, and it's something that has bothered me quite significantly with this Araxium. So, of course, jumping into live play on Connery at 5:17 p.m. It's a Tuesday night, so the server's kind of dead. I mean, it's Connery, so the server's always kind of dead, but you know what? It is what it is, and we will simply have to make do. So, yeah, the 11A is a good rifle. You know, as much as I complain about never really finding the right build for me, I guess we're going to play out of here, because there's just nothing going on. As much as I complain about never... That's unfortunate. As much as I complain about never finding the right build for me, it's still a good weapon. You know, it does have its problems, don't get me wrong, it has its problems, you know, it does have a very low damage output, and especially given that I was ragging on the Pulsar VS1 in the last video for lack of damage. You might be curious as to why I'm not doing the same thing here, given this rifle is even less of it. Despite its low damage, the 11A does make up for this deficit by having that consistent 4 headshot kill range, so, you know, if you have the mechanical aim to pull it off, it does kill quite quickly, and it's consistent too at that. And I would argue that the recoil pattern and the attachments available here are just simply nice. It's just a very nice and comfortable rifle to use. It doesn't feel ever like the rifle lets you down. And when we again compare it to the Pulsar I reviewed yesterday, that was one of the major complaints I had with that weapon, where it just always let you down. It felt like you were just losing engagements because you had the wrong rifle in your hand. That's not the case here, in my opinion, with the 11A. It feels like how you do with it is entirely dependent on your own skill as a player. And in this regard, it's a very, very nice weapon, because if you have the skill to make it work, it will work. And even though it has a little bit low output, you can work around this with good mechanical aim. And thanks to its fairly nice recoil and accuracy, you know, you can make this work. Of course, it will take some getting used to obviously not having a super high damage output, but it's still very nice traits to have. And, as I mentioned, because it only drops 1 tier, you know, it's reliable. You know, it'll never take more than 8 body shots to down a target unless you're shooting them in the leg. And in this regard, as long as you're landing shots and connecting, it feels comfortable and it feels reliable. In addition, and this was something I mentioned with the Pulsar video, it feels good to use. And I would like to elaborate on this point sometime, but for the purpose of this video, in my experience, how you feel with a weapon influences a lot how much you actually like it. There are some bad weapons that I've liked Araxium solely because I just enjoyed the way they feel and how satisfying they were to use. And the 11A is really, really good for this. It has really, really nice visual and audio feedback, and it feels good to shoot. You know, it's as good as a fictional gun in a very futuristic video game can feel, but it feels good to use. It doesn't feel clunky, it doesn't feel weird, it just feels like a nice, solid assault rifle. And that's why I think it's so enjoyable to use. Because it feels good to use. Sure, it may not have the highest damage in the box, but it feels reliable, it feels comfortable, and it feels effective. And I would argue that the reskins only improve on this. The Diamondback, for example, the Planetside Arena variant of this gun, feels super good to use because it has some excellent visual and audio design going on for it. Even some of the other models, like the Frontline model, also just feel very good to use. And this has influenced me a lot with this weapon, because normally I'm not a huge fan of these lower time to kill weapons, but it just feels good to use, it feels comfortable to use, it feels reliable, it feels safe. That's honestly a very good term you could use for it. It feels like a very safe weapon. No matter what you do, the 11A will just do what you treat it, basically. However you use the weapon, it will perform. It's all up to you, the player, to make it perform. It's not going to jank out on you, and suddenly the recoil will get too sharp and you'll just get ruined because of random horizontal recoil. You're not going to just miss due to bad hipfire stats and, you know, just be knocked out of a kill, or you're not going to just cross a damage tier inadvertently and lose a shot that might have saved you the kill. It just does exactly what you need it to do. And in that regard, it's probably my favorite assault rifle in the whole game for that reason. because it feels incredibly player dependent, and that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. In my experience, that's a very good thing. Sure, it's not going to kill as fast as some close quarters assault rifles, and it's not going to perform as effectively at long range as some long range assault rifles. But it's never going to catch you off guard. I should not have thrown that fusion. So, that's probably a good spot to call it. In recap, it's a great rifle. Sure, the damage output is low, but every other stat here is good, it feels good to use, it kills effectively, it's very player dependent. If you don't have the mechanical skill to be landing shots, and especially headshots, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of mileage out of the 11A. Especially when compared to some other closer range assault rifles that kill faster. But if you have the skill to use it and to land shots, it's going to feel the same every time, and that's a good thing. It feels like a very reliable, a very safe pick to use in about every single situation I've ever managed to throw on it. So, thank you all very much, and I will see you all next time.